What's up, everybody? It is Silverwave Entertainment today, and we are going to be talking about xxxtentacion. It's more specifically around all the events that have happened since his death. Sammy?
I think that we have to look at Twitter as our first area of things going on. It's crazy that you had some people mourning the death of a great artist and others who then came and attacked those people who were mourning them, bringing up domestic abuse in his past. But he was a 20-year-old kid. He made mistakes. Mourning the death of him does not mean we are supporting those actions. We're supporting a man who was beginning to grow and become a better man and just be the most himself he could be.
It's kind of funny thinking after something like this could happen that the first thing people would do is criticize him. And there are obviously people who aren't fans, people that have never listened to his music in particular, and I feel like they just don't understand why they're not defending his actions, but why people are so, you know, upset by this,
Right,
upset by his death in particular.
right. And it is an understandable perspective to take, right? He was 20 years old. And he made mistakes, and he was never taught better. He grew up poor. He grew up with, without any guidance, without any leadership. And I can get that, he made mistakes and those are inexcusable, but you can't, hate on a man for the rest of his life because of those. What about, accepting someone who's changed, who's become better? And a lot of the times, headlines based upon someone make or define them to the media, right? Like a report comes out that they did this, and the way that the report is written, or how the initial people who take that report can define how everyone else looks at them, because a lot of opinions are based on other people's opinions and how they are shown to us.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting to bring up too because I'm not going to compare these two people, but Einstein also beat his wife just because it was part of who he was, and the media never talked about that, and they probably wouldn't ever have just because of what he contributed to society in a scientific way. And obviously, it's not the same for X, but at the minimum, he deserves a little bit of respect before you discuss the vices of his life.
And I just want to say that I didn't even know that Albert Einstein did that, and that's because of the reports that come out of him. That's because of the news. That's because of how the world frames Einstein. He was a genius, right? No one talks about that side of him. With X, though, that seems to be all people talk about. That seems to be the side of him that everyone just seems to frame negatively, and it's sad because, albeit it is messed up, why does Einstein not get blamed for it, but gets uplifted because of all his accomplishments? And once again, we're not saying that X has accomplished as much as Einstein, but in a similar fashion, the media impacted how we look at them. So to move into legacy, Ryan, how do you think that X will be viewed in the future as an artist and as someone who really cared about the community?
I feel pretty optimistic about the future. Just because, after so much time has passed, people are going to realize that what he contributed is much more important than who he was as a person. And in general, he's definitely helped way more people than he's hurt in life. And that's really all that matters when it comes to being an artist or contributing whatever you have to the music industry.
So we want to play a clip real quick of the recording that X made before his death, and it's kind of crazy to think that a 20-year-old kid had this type of insight, and this is what he really wanted.
Worst thing comes to worst, I die a tragic death or some and I'm not able to see out my dreams. I at least want to know that the kids perceived my message and were able to make something of themselves and able to take my message and use it and turn it into something positive and to at least have a good life. I at least, if I'm gonna die or ever be a sacrifice, I want to make sure that my life made at least 5 million kids happy. Or they found some sort of answers or resolve in my life. Regardless of the negative around my name, regardless of the bad things people say to me, I don't give a f***.
You know, there's obviously a lot to take out of that, but the funny thing is that, like, cryptic stuff he always says, he's like, what if I'm a sacrifice? Not always, you know, it's just him. And still, overall, in general, the message he brought was that the only thing that's important to him is his work and everything else he's put forward into the world. His last album, 17, it helped a lot of people, and he really brought up the topic of mental health, which a lot of rappers today don't do, which is, going back to what we said before, not particularly the reason we overlook all the bad things he's done, but the reason people are so upset about his death.
And to bring up, once again, his age, right? He made some huge mistakes. They were terrible things that he did, and no one can defend those. But at 20 years old, he says something like this. And I think that that's a very insightful and intelligent thing to understand at such a young age, right? He, at the age of 20, cares about the youth and helping the world and making an impact and having people build off of himself. That's something very rare that we can feel. So to transition a little bit into his impact on the rap game as a whole and other rappers, I want to bring up 6ix9ine. So me and Ryan heard the other day about 6ix9ine apologizing and kind of having this real life awakening that it's bigger than rap and that people are dying out here. And Ryan, you had an interesting take on that.
Yeah, I definitely took that as, you know, there's going to be a little bit more softer undertones and maybe a couple of the albums coming up, and it's definitely something to look forward to. I also wanted to add to that and say that I think people are definitely going to, like, address beef differently. You know, a lot of rappers are very upfront about what they think about people, and now it's not going to be, like, softer, but it'll be a little bit more concerned and addressed in a different light than it previously was. And that's something interesting to wait and watch for.
So I hope that our conversation today about X and, you know, his life and impact has given you a different perspective. I just want to say my heart goes out to all his friends like Ski Mask and family. And thank you guys for listening.
All right, that's it from Silver Wave Entertainment, and we'll catch y'all next time.